Hello everybody, this is the Uplifting Endeavor, and for those of you who do not know me, which at this point is probably everyone, my name is Antonio and I am a therapist, currently going on 6 years of experience, during which time I have had the chance to work with a wide variety of brave and strong people, not only patients but neighbors, friends, family, strangers, all dealing with a mental health issue or a few. And these issues have ranged from minor anxieties, depressions, all the way to bipolar disorders, schizophrenias, and addictions. And because I've had spent so much time working with people dealing with their mental health for so long, as well as having to deal with my own, I thought I'd finally take some time to express mental health's importance and to take this time to give out tips as to how to better improve and maintain your own mental health. So, in this video, I like to share with you 5 ways to help you heal from your own trauma. I like to let you know why it's been so difficult to get past, and I'd like to take the time to tell you how to get out of your own self-defeating cycles on your journey to becoming a more self-fulfilled you. Now, these aren't the only ways to heal from your trauma, but these are some of the ways that have helped me out, as well as those that I have met in and out of the mental health field. Now, I like to dive right into it, but before we get started, I like to ask that you please leave a comment and let me know what it is that brought you here. Let me know where you're from, and if you happen to have any suggestions. I am always and wildly interested in learning about you and how to better connect. This channel is all about helping you to become the kind of person that you can appreciate looking in the mirror, and to help you grow to figure out what you really want in life and how to strive for it confidently. If you'd like to learn more, please subscribe, click the like button, and share this video on whatever platform you think will help others the most. Trauma is something far too many people experience, even today. And it has been an experience that society, since its beginnings, has never really addressed in a proper way. Though, in this time, there are people out there that make the effort to create programs, to offer resources and help for others to heal. This video being one of those resources. The general sense of people's mental health is one that they feel they have to hide from the public eye. It is something that many people still feel a stigma around. And even now, the mainstream model for mental health is one where you feel sad, and the first response is to take a pill for it. Now, I want you to understand that this isn't the way things are always going to be. It is just the way in which It is just where we have progressed up until now. And to want to actually learn to improve and maintain your own mental health is you helping the progress of it in that more general sense. So, I think when the process of healing yourself no longer requires medication to be the first option is when I think people will find it easier to be more open about their experience because of that limit to that quick fix option, that option that allows so many people now to sweep their struggle under the rug and to go about their day as if nothing were the matter. I think when that transition happens, it'll allow for a more fully embodied healing experience with their trauma that can allow for people to feel shameless about their mental health in the face of society. So, if you are feeling alone in your experience, don't. There are so many others going through similar struggles to you. We just aren't at a point yet where people can feel free to share those experiences more openly. So, for those of you out here trying to learn about yourself, trying to take the time to learn to help yourself, learn to improve your own mental health, and to do so, and in doing so, improve the mental health field in general, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for facing your struggles. Thank you for being brave enough to look at your trauma in the eye and tell yourself you are more than the pain you've been put through. This is one of the ways you can start to overcome your trauma and begin to take responsibility for the way you think about yourself in a way that helps you build the person that you really want to be. In the book, The Body Keeps a Score, the author, Basil van der Kolk, MD, explains that traumatized people look at the world in a fundamentally different way from others and have a tendency to superimpose their trauma on the world around them while having trouble deciphering what's really going on in their life experiences. So each trauma is unique. There are commonalities in our reactions to it. Trauma often comes with a sort of fear-based alienation to our own bodies, as well as to specific locations and experiences that remind the person of the trauma that they went through. Now, these stimuli can lead to a wide variety of fight or flight reactions, including generalized anxiety as well as panic attacks. And when these reactions become too much for the person to handle and they are no longer able to confront these specific stimuli, over time this develops into something called avoidance behaviors. This happens because trauma results in a fundamental reorganization of the way mind and brain manage perceptions. Trauma not only changes our thought processes, the way we think, but it changes our capacity to think. So, if you are going to begin to overcome your trauma, the first thing you have to learn is how to regain confidence in your body, while also learning what your triggers are. and to slowly change the orientation of them in safe ways back into your life. Now, I know that this isn't easy, but this is how you begin to reach and rewrite these sort of self-imprisoning narratives that so many people that have experienced trauma talk themselves into. These are subconscious ones that you have to acknowledge and understand. You need to know that this isn't just a desire. This is a requirement if you are going to start taking your recovery seriously. This self-understanding is key because there is this orientation to yourself that most people aren't even aware of. It is one that, unfortunately, due to many of you going through trauma, have experienced. And due to that trauma, in many cases, you've most likely been too afraid to allow it to work in your favor. But, like I said, the first place you need to start is figuring out how to regain confidence into the body. And that can be done by bringing a physical activity into your life, like yoga. Now, physical activities have generally been shown to improve mental health, like lifting weights, calisthenics, running, and like, many more, like lots of other kinds of just like generally going outside, just maybe even taking a walk has been proven to actually improve certain aspects of your mental health. However, studies have shown that yoga is a specific kind of exercise, one that has shown to actually help brain cells develop new neural connections. And it has literally shown to lower the stress hormones associated with anxiety and depression. And it's also been proven that it limits the activity within the limbic system, the part of your brain that actually is connected to your emotional responses. Though not by itself, yoga has shown to help those with PTSD and has been proven to provide the longest lasting effects for those that use it in co-occurring treatments. Yoga is something that can help you reorient your relationship to your subconscious and in turn your body to help you regain that confidence and a sense of comfort in it. Something I believe every person that's gone through trauma needs. The second thing is you have to know what you've been avoiding. You have to know what triggers your emotional responses and acknowledge them, as well as validate what you are feeling in order to begin to know where to heal your relationships to the outside world. Like I said before, trauma is something that alienates you from the world in a deep way and creates a gap between the core of who you are and the security of your very place in the world. It's something that can make you question everything because the scars you might have are more than just the physical. They are ones your conscious and subconscious mind have been left with as well. That is why looking at your trauma is vital, because it does lead to your pain. And looking at your pain leads to the wound itself. And learning to study the wound leads to learning how to heal it. Though this challenge is one I do warn you to take on in small amounts, carefully with compassion and self-love, it is a challenge I do believe every person that's gone through trauma should take on. Because you can't really get better by avoiding and ignoring your triggers and emotions. And the reason why is because your strongest emotions, your strongest feelings have a direct connection to your subconscious, which is that orientation to yourself that I mentioned earlier. If the strongest feelings you've experienced in life is pain, which is unfortunately more common in the world than you think, the second most powerful, the second strongest feeling you're going to experience is fear. And this is just your brain. This is what it does in order to make sure that you do not repeat the same experience. So, in order for real change to take place, the body needs to learn that the danger has passed and that it is able to live in the reality of the present. That is done by recognizing yourself again, accepting that there are things you are triggered by, understanding what those triggers are, and letting yourself know that that's okay, while accepting that that is not where you are done growing in life. Now, I want you to know that it is not your fault for the way you feel or the way you react. That is just your brain running on instinct. What you are responsible for, though, is your healing process and how you go about it. As I said before, this must be done carefully and safely. It is something I recommend that you take full circle with a therapist, as they are the people qualified to not only help you recognize what your triggers are, but teach you the proper therapies to help you outgrow them. Which leads me to the third thing that can help you heal from your trauma. Finding a therapist is something I highly recommend due to the pitfalls and risks that come with confronting trauma. In doing so without a professional, there is a chance that you can re-traumatize yourself, which does happen when you expose yourself to the triggers and memories of your trauma in overwhelming amounts. However, when you willingly expose yourself to the triggers of your trauma that you've been trying to avoid, this is something called exposure therapy, which has been shown to have astounding results when you keep the exposure to amounts that are within safe limits. This is known as the window of tolerance. This is something that is within the expertise of an experienced therapist to know and regulate. Another reason to find a good therapist is due to the nature of what you've gone through. It's very difficult for a person to open up to another who hasn't gone through the same sort of trauma or isn't familiar, and can bring about more challenges than solutions when the person that you're opening up to doesn't relate or understand, or does relate to your trauma but still doesn't understand your reaction to it. Telling another person can bring about comparative ideas, which can lead to you thinking less of yourself, or can lead you to getting frustrated and unwilling to open up to another person again. Therapists are unbiased and are equipped with coping methods and resources like EMDR or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, cognitive therapies or cognitive behavioral therapies, and somatic therapies, and are experienced in the mental health field in ways that allow the use and integration of these methods and resources in a safe and professional manner that allows for the healthiest results. One thing to keep in mind, if you are able to gain access to a therapist, because I do understand that not everyone's insurance covers that sort of thing, even though I think that it definitely should, is that it is wildly important that you be patient in finding the right one you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter as to why you feel comfortable with them. That is your own personal preference. It could be that they wear the same watch, or interested in the same, same shoes, or if they just listen really well. The point is that you must feel safe and confident in the person that you're going to be opening up to. This will be a professional relationship, but it is a relationship that you will be feeling very vulnerable in, and one where safety and comforts are a priority. So, if you can't necessarily find the right therapist for the first few therapists, do not be discouraged. It is your comfort that you are trying to keep as a priority, and that is how you are going to get the farthest with whoever you choose to open up to. The fourth thing you need to do is you need to fulfill the most basic need within yourself. You need to know that you are capable of love and are capable of being loved, no matter the situation or trauma in life. Just because you feel broken, it does not mean you are no longer capable of either. You need to know that through success and through failure, you are still a being deserving of love. And in that way of self-understanding, you begin to realize that nothing is hopeless. And that does mean you and your true desires. I know some people may say that love is just something you find in a greeting card. And this may be a deep-seated idea for many of you that have or are currently going through long periods of survival mode in your life. But in truth, it is a necessity for every truly fulfilled person's life. It is literally a life or death requirement when it comes to caring for a newborn baby. History has shown that babies that receive absolutely no affection do begin to physically deteriorate, which just shows the value and the importance love has in every person's life. So, I believe that love is something that people need to remind themselves of every day. So, I want you to tell yourself, I love you, twice a day. Once in the morning and once before you go to sleep. Even if you don't necessarily feel like you do, I ask that you take on this activity seriously. If you do this with a sense of sincerity and with the knowledge that this is something that everybody needs, you will begin to realize that your emotional trauma no longer defines your self-value. And you will be reminded of the bigger picture, that you are more important here and now in the moment than what you've gone through in the past. Now, most people don't realize, most people don't think this way due to the world around us. So many people don't realize how vital something like self-love is. But when you do, you will become more interested in your mindset, your orientation, and your mental health, rather than the trauma that's been bleeding into your life. You will no longer fall down so low when you are confronted by a trigger. Even if you don't react the way that you wanted to, that you've been practicing not to, you will become a person that is so caught up in yourself in such a true way that you will no longer be limited by the insecurities that have framed and convinced your subconscious of who you think you are. And over time, that allows a sort of freedom from your fears and self-destructive thoughts. Because over time, that sort of self-love will have more substance than the negative self-talks that you've been allowing yourself to fall into, and the destructive habits that you may or may not be carrying on with on a daily basis. Freedom leads you to your true self, even with your trauma. And that self-love, which is actually a form of self-acceptance, will allow you to find yourself again without biases. And it will allow you to pursue your best self, because you will feel yourself worthy of it. But it all goes back to consistency. You need to do this daily without expectations. You only need to work on being more sincere each time you say it. What you are looking for is that sense of sincerity, because you're not always going to feel like it. You're not always going to feel like you love yourself. You're not always going to be able to look in the mirror and, go 100 and say, I love you. But being sincere, even in the effort, will help your mind build a new subconscious relation to you, which was that orientation that I was talking about. It's that orientation of your relationship to yourself, to your inner self. A lot of times there are many, many walls that people put up as they grow up, as they mature. This sort of orientation is one that's usually overlooked because it's not really a requirement to be so deep with yourself to exist and to relate to others and to socialize and to build up a sort of hierarchy. It is kind of a requirement if you really want to be fulfilled and happy in that kind of in life, because the surface stuff of the world doesn't really add up to any substance internally. That's why a consumer-based society is only ever just in that mode of consumption. But that is a kind of conversation I think for another time. Though if you just if you just think the thought, though, if you just say the words and don't try to, I guess, put any feeling into it, you won't reach those deeper parts of your subconscious and unconscious minds, because those parts of you are most sensitive to feelings. They are that is why the emotional substance that you get when you say you love yourself, the emotional feeling that you get, that you get when you tell yourself you love yourself and mean it, is how you learn to fight for yourself in that subconscious way and learn to be less of a person that ends up ruining your own happiness and holding yourself back from success. The fifth thing you need to do to help you heal from your trauma is to start looking for the joy in life. Now, I know that you might think that this means taking a vacation or buying a video game or hanging out with friends. But I can only say that it depends on if it is something you are willing to go the extra mile for. It can't really be something you use to escape the day, or to get away from, or use to get away from the day. I know that you may think that finding joy, finding an escape, and being satisfied are the same thing. But what I think is that the things you really find joy in aren't the things that help you recover or escape. They are the things that you really would make that kind of sacrifice for. It would be something that you find worth going the distance for. And if it's not something that you find worthy of your extra time, extra effort, or extra money, I'm not sure it's something that you really find joy in. If there isn't something you really find joy in life, then I have to say it is up to you to find it. The list of things is endless, and the way to go about it is as easy as pressing a few buttons on your phone and maybe paying for a class or two. Now, I know that this may seem meaningless to many of you, to many people that have lived their life in survival mode, or that have been taught growing up that just paying the bills is enough. But I think that, in the words of Alan Watts, better to live a short life full of things you like doing than to live a long life spent in a miserable way. Joy, in a way, I believe, brings meaning to life. It is what we all strive for when we think about how we want our lives to be in the next 5, 10, or 50 years. We all want to have found that joy in our life and made it what we do for a living. Or, in other words, found our purpose. In Japan, this is called ikigai. When we do this, we can not only grow our ability to heal our own wounds, but to prosper despite them. The act of finding your joy is one of self-love and tells you on so many levels, consciously and subconsciously, that you are worth and are still capable of happiness and true joy. The action goes beyond the words and psychology by bringing rewards on the biological level. Finding joy and true happiness through natural means feeds you in ways that only healthy biological chemical releases can, even if they are subtle ones. By telling yourself you love yourself and going about the action of bringing yourself joy, you are reassuring yourself in both ways, psychologically and biologically, that you are worthy of a life fully lived. And this helps you bring about the mindset that finds the difficulty of healing worth it. This will help you go full circle and may even lead you to helping others that are suffering from similar trauma. By telling yourself you love yourself and going about the action of bringing yourself joy, you are reassuring yourself in both ways, psychologically and biologically, that you are worthy of a life fully lived. And this helps you bring about the mindset that finds the difficulty of healing yourself worth it. This will help you go full circle and may even lead you to helping others heal from similar trauma. Now, there is a saying out there that some people, tell others when they go through trauma or when they go through a certain sort of pain or a tragedy. They usually say that the time that your pain will lessen as time passes on, and that isn't something that I necessarily believe. I think that your pain never really gets smaller. You just learn to outgrow it. You just learn to become more than the pain that gripped you so tightly, and you begin to learn to carry it with you, just as an unfortunate part of life. And I think that time is just what some people think they need in order to do that. I think what you really need is to be brave and sincere and honest about what you really want and who you really want to be or who you really need to be in order to get past the difficulties of your trauma. There are many reasons your trauma may have been or may continue to be something that is just more than difficult to overcome. And for so many people, the problem isn't that your goals are unreachable. The problem isn't that you're just so broken that nothing good in life will ever come your way. The problem may be your own mind playing tricks on you and setting yourself up for failure due to trauma-induced self-sabotage. And that may be due to the many tricks it plays, like confirmation, cognitive, and self-serving biases, being hypocritical or bipolar, having anxiety, depression, being self-righteous, and insecure storytelling. The list goes on, but in truth, these are all just symptoms that are signs of deeper issues, and those issues may be due to how you were raised. Maybe it was due to how you were bullied in school. It may be due to the abusive relationship that you've just gotten out of or are currently still in. It could be due to the fact that society may tell you that you shouldn't have these sorts of problems, nor the trauma that may have caused it. Sometimes society says that you should be in total control of yourself, that you shouldn't have any problem getting on with your day or, being that wheel in the cog of society trying to, move the whole thing progressively forward. It shuns some of the people that can't necessarily manage to hide their struggles well enough. And it tries to explain it away in whispers, rumors, and vague understandings of mental health illnesses. It may not be just your trauma that is causing you to self-sabotage. It may be how the world reacts to it. It should be known that the world that we live in currently, isn't always out for your best interest. this world, despite all the advertisements of what, on your phone, on your TV screen, on your computer, on billboards, anywhere you can possibly look, there's going to be an advertisement telling you what you should be, or how you should act, or what you should want. And in truth, these sources of media, these sources of advertisements are only telling you so on superficial levels. The world we live in isn't one that hasn't, or that is yet to realize mental health without stigmatizing it, without pushing it away or sweeping it under the rug. This is an unfortunate truth of the world, and it is something to keep in mind next time you sabotage yourself in the mirror on a bad day, telling yourself you're not worthy or you're not good enough. When it comes to breaking your own self-sabotaging cycles, it is a necessity that you realize that you are much more than the pain that you've been put through. It's important to sit down with your pain and realize where it's coming from. The reason to acknowledge this pain is because you can't really heal a wound when you don't believe that you're hurt, or don't believe that there's a way for you to heal. This is a big reason why you go about self-sabotaging. Literally knowing and seeing it and still not being able to stop it. The reason is because you still feel that pain from your trauma, because it never really leaves you, and you never really learn to outgrow it, because the world taught you that, it taught you to be too afraid to realize that you're still hurting. And so you begin to make up reasons for this unreasonable vacancy. You begin to think you deserve it. You begin to identify with this pain and with that trauma. And without knowing it, you start to think that pain and trauma is just a part of life. And when that happens, you begin to find yourself only ever doing the wrong thing. Just because whatever good situation that you find in front of you just seems too good to be true. And you tell yourself that even if it was true, that you just don't deserve it, or that you're not good enough. You can break your self-sabotaging cycles. You just need to be sincere enough with yourself about what you're trying to accomplish. And be brave enough to face your fears, as well as being honest enough with yourself to set aside your own self-defeating narratives, to know what you want in life, and to feel like you deserve it. That is how you begin to start overcoming your own self-sabotaging cycles. A life fully lived is one that invites healing and the ability to bring that healing and joy to others around them. This is due to the connection that we all share as human beings. That saying is true. You are the people you surround yourself with. In my mind, the best possible outcome to any trauma is one that you are able to use to help others. Maybe even others that haven't even gone through this similar trauma. So it's that saying that you can help others even if you feel alone. Far too many people do go through trauma, but far too few allow themselves the chance to use that trauma to help themselves and others. This is an unfortunate nature of the world that we find ourselves currently in. But the process is not hopeless. I know that the only constant in the universe is change. So, I believe that in the end, if you are willing to do the work to healing yourself, and to do so wisely, and if you are brave enough to love yourself and find your joy in life, I know that the healing of yourself as well as the people around you is something that is inevitable. So, I hope this helps and inspires you to take on your hardships and to do so with compassion for yourself, as well as whatever or whoever it was that brought on your trauma. I will be creating another session to this course that will help you find the bravery to love yourself and will teach you some of the techniques to help you get through some of the work that gets you to face your trauma. It will include breathing techniques with a guided meditation and some yoga work with some mudra techniques. If this video is one that you found impactful and want to help me keep this work going, as well as continue to learn how to heal yourself and grow your own mental health, click the like button, subscribe, click the link in the comment section or in the section below to see if maybe the remainder of this course is the kind of resource that works for you. Again, I do hope that you found something helpful in this video. So, just to go over the basics, the 5 ways to help you heal yourself is to find the activity that brings you comfort and confidence in your body. Learn what your triggers are. Maybe find a therapist. Something that I highly recommend is something that I have done as well. Tell yourself you love yourself and find the joy in your life again. I really hope to see you in the next one, and I guess I'll say deuces.